welcome back to my channel. For today's video we have another tag video. This is the eyeshadow wardrobe tag. This tag was created by Charlotte Holcroft and Morgan Turner. I will link their channels and their videos in the description box below. I personally seen this tag on Samantha March's channel, so I will leave Samantha's video in the description box below as well, as she is the one who technically inspired this. I do love a good tag video, and this one seemed like a lot of fun, especially because it is talking about one of my favourite subjects, eyeshadow palettes. So what this tag is, it's a list of 10 different scenarios in which you would wear eyeshadow to different events and things like that. You go through and pick the eyeshadow palette that you'd reach for that kind of event. Just for a kind of shameless plug, I did recently create my own tag, which I did in collaboration with Make Up Your Mind, and I will try and remember to link that in the cards, if not in the description box below, if you did want to go and check that one out. And just as a caveat at the beginning of this video, and all videos where my hair is curly, I've had my hair done today, so I'm trying to block film a few videos at once. But today I did kind of wake up with swollen eyes, so if I don't look quite right, that is why. Probably not the best idea to have applied eyeshadow, but again, because I was getting my hair done and otherwise I would have been sitting at home doing nothing, I thought it best try and persevere with it. I may regret this decision tomorrow, but I just wanted to say in case anything didn't look right. I also do have a new lighting and tripod setup that I'm using for the first time tonight, so this and the other 2 or 3 videos that I've filmed may not work out the best. I will hopefully learn from my mistakes, but I just wanted to put this at the beginning of the video. On a brighter note, I do have a giveaway live on my channel, which I will have linked in the description box below if you wanted to go and enter that. It is for my 3-year anniversary on YouTube. So why don't we get into this tag? So the first scenario is, what eyeshadow palette would you pick for a wedding? I think this can be as your own wedding or also as a wedding guest. Both of my answers would be the same, to be honest, and this was by far the most easiest eyeshadow palette to pick out of all of these scenarios, and that would be the Juvia's Place Nubian palette. The reason why I picked this one is because I have attended numerous weddings wearing this palette. In particular, I always go for this shade here. Out of all of the eyeshadow palettes that I have in my collection, I find this one to be the longest wearing. Like I say, this shade here in particular that I would wear, it doesn't crease on my eyelids all day long. Even if I do forget to put eyeshadow primer on, I just find that this stays in place the longest. So this would be a palette that I would definitely reach for, because it does have your lighter shades, but then you can smoke it up a little bit if you want to. I do tend to go for these 3 shades which have the most dips in, but yeah, easy decision with this one. It would definitely be the Juvia's Place Nubian palette. The next scenario is, what eyeshadow palette would you pick for date night? And for this I went for the original Urban Decay Naked palette, and the reason I went for this one is because I was with my husband when I purchased this palette. I did actually purchase this on our honeymoon, and it's probably the first like full high-end eyeshadow palette that he's kind of seen on my eyes, and he does always compliment my looks when I am wearing this one, so this one kind of makes me think of him. So if I were to go on a date night, this would be the one that I would pick, because dependent on what we were doing, if we were going out somewhere fancy and I wanted a smoky eye, I've got that choice here, but then if we were going for a more casual date, I've got the kind of lighter colours down here. So yeah, definitely pick this one for date night. The next scenario is girls night, and for this one I've gone for another Urban Decay Naked palette, but this time the Cherry palette. Because of obviously the current situations, it's been a long time since I went on a girls' night, but I do remember the last time I went on one, this was the palette that I wore, and I think I've worn it on quite a few girls' nights in the past. I think it's because I can achieve a sort of more romantic kind of smoky eye with this one, if that makes any sense. Personally, I don't tend to go for an overly smoky eye because I don't think I can pull it off, but with this it just kind of tones it down, makes it a bit warmer and a bit more approachable, I say, if that makes any sense. And I know for a fact that this shade here, Bang Bang, is the shade that I put all over my lid whenever I am going on a night out kind of thing, and I think I was kind of drawn to this one as well because it is pink and sort of girly, but yeah, this is the one that I went for girls' night. The next scenario is, what eyeshadow palette would I take on vacation? And this one was pretty easy as well. If you would have asked me before I did my recent eyeshadow palette declutter, the answer would have been my Too Faced Chocolate Bar, as a palette that I have always travelled with, not because I love it, but because it comes in tin packaging. It's slightly more durable, and because I didn't like it that much, I wouldn't have been bothered if it got broken. So because I have now decluttered that one from my collection, it had to kind of fall to its sister palette. So this is the Too Faced Chocolate Bonbon palette, and again, tin packaging, nice and durable. This is a palette that I actually picked up a while ago second hand from Glambot. This is a palette that I have purchased second hand. I obviously didn't pay as much for it. Again, it's not a palette that you absolutely love, so I wouldn't be heartbroken if it got damaged. It definitely has a few different sort of colour combinations in there to get me through a week's holiday. I did also want to kind of throw this shadow in here as well. This is one of Colourpop's Jelly Mutt shadows in the shade Sweet Dreams, and it is a really gorgeous shimmery pink shade, and I thought it might pair quite nicely with this palette if I did want a bit more kind of glam. There are a few shimmer shades in here, but none of them really kind of pop, and if I was going on holiday, this to me is kind of like a fun shadow, and on holiday I'm having fun, so this would be the palette I'd pick, but I probably would throw this individual shadow in as well. The next scenario was graduation. I can't put this into perspective of what I would have worn because I've never had a physical graduation. Here in the UK, when you finish high school, that's it, you kind of just finish high school, you don't have a full-blown graduation thing. The only time you have a graduation is if you go to university, which I did not. I don't regret not going to university, but I kind of wish I'd had some sort of graduation. So I had to kind of make this one up. The palette that came to mind when thinking about what sort of look I would wear for a graduation, for the physical kind of ceremony itself, I don't think I would have gone overboard. I think I would have gone quite natural. So I went with this Going Coconuts palette because I thought I could put together quite a nice neutral look, but then if I were to say be going out afterwards to celebrate the graduation, I could then sort of throw in one of the middle shades and make it a much more brighter glam look. And in theory, I was thinking because it's such a small compact palette, I would be able to have it with me to kind of go from day to night with it. So I'd say I'd go for a more neutral, possibly matte look for the graduation ceremony itself, but then for the celebration of it, I would go for one of the more shimmer shades. So if I would have had a physical graduation, this would have been a palette I'd like to reach for. The next scenario is Christmas Day. So for Christmas, you're kind of thinking reds, greens and golds. So I had to look in my collection to see what I had. I had a few palettes which had really nice golds in that I know I have worn on Christmas Day in the past, but I didn't have a lot of palettes that had a kind of festive green in it. Then I spotted one of my more recent purchases. This is the e.l.f. Bite Size Hot Jalapeno palette, and this to me kind of does scream Christmas. You've got a couple of darker greens here, you've then got a shimmery green and then a gold, so Christmas greens and golds. Okay, there's no red, but I don't really like red eyeshadow anyway, so this to me is it kind of fits the bill of what I would look for Christmas. And to be honest, I think this is probably the palette that I am going to reach for this year. Obviously at the moment we don't know what Christmas celebrations are going to look like. Hopefully we can still do something, a small family get together, I really don't know, but whatever we decide to do, I'm going to be rocking this eyeshadow palette because it does have everything that I want. And another plus side is Christmas Day is always such a busy day. I don't have the time to sit down with a full kind of 12, 15, 20 pound palette and work out a look, whereas this, I do already have a go-to look with this one using every shade. So it's going to be a quick and easy look that I can do in no doubt a hurry, which is what Christmas Day is all about. So this is the one I thought of for Christmas Day, and I say it's the one I'm most likely going to use this year. Next scenario is birthday party. It didn't say if it was going to be me attending a birthday party or if it was my birthday party, but if I take it to be my birthday party, and my birthday is in the summer, so I kind of want bright colours, I went for the BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival palette. This does kind of have a bit of everything. It does have a few neutrals in there as well, but it does have those bright pops of colour. This would be the kind of thing on my birthday, wanting to have some fun in the summer months. This I think will be the one I'd go for. I don't know immediately looking at it what look I would go for, but I know I would try and incorporate one of the brighter shades in here at least. It is such a pretty palette with a lot of choice, so yeah, this would be the one I'd go for birthday celebrations. The next one is what eyeshadow palette would you wear for the office? This one was quite hard to think of because office I do tend to go for more neutral looks, but I also do kind of wear what I want. I don't go with really bright eyeshadow, but I do kind of just pick a palette out at random and wear that for the day. I do work in a really small office with only 3 other people, so not many people are kind of bothered about what I'm wearing on my eyes, so I don't have to kind of play it safe, but I do anyway. So there were quite a few choices that I could have gone with this one, but in the end I went for this one from the Balm. This is the Meet Matchmaker palette, and the reason why I picked this one is because of this kind of combo here. This is the Chavarin duo in it and is the pink toned one. And out of this palette, these 2 shades here definitely have the biggest dips. This is a palette that when I was in the office, which hasn't been for 6 months at this point, but when I was in a normal routine and getting up, getting everyone else in the house ready, and then getting myself ready, if I was really running late and starting to run out of time to pick an eyeshadow palette and think of a look, this would be the one that I'd go for, because I know I can just literally stick these 2 shades and be done, and it would still look like a complete eye look. So that's why I went with this one. I do have so many palettes that do kind of fit the bill as being office appropriate, as it were, but thinking about the one I reach for, kind of my office safety net, yeah, this was the one I thought of, and say it's these 2 shades in particular. I mean, I think bar the purple and the green, I would wear any of these 4 duos to the office, but this is the one that I reach for the most, so yeah, this is the palette that I went for office wear. Next scenario is Errands and Everyday Go-To palette. So kind of like the office one, looking at my neutrals again. So I did kind of answer this one and the office one in one go because I didn't want to have the same palette twice. So the palette that I picked for this is the e.l.f. New Classics palette. This is another one where I do have go-to looks. So again, if I'm in a pinch for time and I don't want to reach for the Balm one for the office, this would be another one I'd reach for. But because I needed an everyday palette to fit in this scenario, that's why I put it here. But this one could have fit in this or the last category. But this is an absolutely amazing palette, really affordable, great formula, nice array of shades, and in this I've got so many go-to looks. I think when I did the recent eyeshadow palette tag, I do believe this was the one I did call my everyday eyeshadow palette then as well, because it is just such a great palette. So glad I picked this one up, and this is definitely an everyday staple for me. And the final category is New Year's Eve. So for this one, I wanted to pick something more sort of glitz and glam, and I did originally pick my Tarte Make Believe in Yourself palette, which consists of all shimmer shades bar 1 matte, but because the matte in that palette is awful, I was going to bring in another palette for just the matte, but then I remembered that I had this other one from Tarte, which I always forget the name of. I think it's the Winter Wonder Glam palette, and I thought this one is a better one for New Year's. This is from their holiday collection 2019. I didn't actually pick up at the holiday time, I did pick up in the new year in the sales. I think I paid half price for it, but as you can see, and I don't know how well the camera will be picking these up, but it does have quite a lot of glittery shades in here. I think they probably are classed as pressed glitter shades. It doesn't really say on the back, so that doesn't help me, but they do act kind of like pressed glitters, but a little bit better. This shade here in particular is absolutely stunning and just catches the light beautifully, so I think it'd probably be this shade that I'd go for New Year's, because it is very kind of glitz and glam, and obviously it fits as well that this is a holiday palette, and I would say this is one I will probably reach for quite a lot over the holidays because I feel quite festive with the sort of shimmery shades in. So I've got my Christmas Day palette sorted with e.l.f., and then if we're allowed to do anything for New Year's, I've got my New Year's palette sorted as well. That was all the scenarios in the eyeshadow wardrobe tag. It was really fun going through and picking what palette I would pick for different events and things. So thank you to Charlotte and Morgan for creating this tag. I will leave the list of scenarios in the description box below if you do want to do this tag yourself. And like I said earlier, I do have an ongoing giveaway on my channel if you are interested in entering that. The link to that video will be in the description box as well. But other than that, that is it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. Thanks.